Welcome back everyone to another Company of Heroes 2 replay cast. This time it is going to be a 1v1 on the December balance patch, uploaded by Mirage FLA, who's playing of course as the OKW, and his opponent, as you can see, is Lima Oscar Mike playing as the USF. Map is Fameville Approach. In case you don't know it, it's a map with one little tiny building in the center protecting a VP, plus the right side does have some buildings, a big manor. A lot of heavy cover, form of sandbags, and the little walls, the fountain. This house overlooking the fuel point, another house overlooking another fuel point, and some more houses and heavy cover on the left-hand side. But overall, as you can see, very, very open. Up until you get some heavy vehicles, these walls are going to restrict the movement of light vehicles a little tiny bit. But other than that, basically MGs galore. And mortars galore sometimes, depending. Of course, it's also a very, very, flat, wide map, meaning that from one base to the other, it's a very, very quick either walk or drive, especially through the center road, so you need to be kind of careful about that, because the enemy units are going to be coming back reinforced quicker than you may think. Quickly, the first build order looks like we have a couple of riflemen coming through from Oscar Mike, nothing too strange. A couple of Volksgrenadiers from his opponent, nothing strange at all again. Looks like he's going to go with the Luftwaffe ground forces. Of course, Fallschirmjägers, always nice, especially on medium to long range maps, considering Fallschirmjägers can be very good at all ranges. And right now, it seems like these riflemen are going to be caught between a rock and a hard place, with, of course, Volksgrenadiers from one side and Sturmpaus from the other. They're going to be forced to back away and withdraw. The other squad is going to be coming in and trying to help out, but at this point, they're 2-on-1 for the Germans, so they're going to have to also kind of pull away. Nothing really bad, however, because, I mean, they didn't lose any models, so they're going to be able to come back and cap some points up, perhaps. Map control seems to be slightly in favor of the Allies, but not really in any significant way. And right now, these riflemen are going to try to get behind the well to get some heavy cover, but unfortunately, they take a lot of damage from these Volksgrenadiers on the approach, and now they're getting flanked by a second Volksgrenadier squad. However, the second Volksgrenadier squad is in the open, and so the second Rifleman squad can come in and put some fire down range on them. And actually, the barbed wire fence block off of the door of this building actually working against the Volksgrenadiers, preventing them from simply jumping in that quickly. However, it's a grenade that comes in, and the grenade will be burning up a few riflemen and allowing this first Volksgrenadier squad to gain up a veterancy point and win this engagement, forcing away these riflemen into another piece of cover. At long range, these Volksgrenadiers should be able to pull down those Kar 98s and just get enough fire superiority over the Americans. In the meantime, these riflemen are going to try to get behind the truck just to get a little tiny bit of extra cover to face off of these Sturm Pioneers. The Sturm Pioneers are in close range, but they're getting absolutely blopped at close range by the Garans, and now they're going to be forced to back away. So engagements basically going either way. Volley fire is going to be coming in from these re-echelon troops, but it's not enough. It's not going to be enough. Definitely. Oh, actually, they managed to get the suppression on the Sturmpaus, allowing them to escape. But still, I think the volley fire was changed slightly in the balance patch. I believe you cannot use volley fire anymore. There was some kind of nerf to volley fire with bot weapons. So for example, with BARs and LMGs, volley fire isn't going to be as effective, but hopefully it's going to be more effective with the rifles. I don't know. Or actually carbines, sorry. They are actually carbines. Ambulance already on the field for Lima Oscar Mike. Interesting choice to go for the ambulance. I mean, on a map like this, I don't really think that the early reinforcement on the field is really that important, but the healing is going to be nice. There's a lot of fighting going on, so if he can keep his units topped up and at full HP all the time, then he's definitely going to bleed less manpower and lose less models. And right now we see finally mechanized company being picked. It's a little bit different than what you're used to. You get the 76mm Shermans from the tier 4. And the 75mm can be upgraded with dozer blades. I've never seen that in use though, so I'm not sure how effective it can be. I'm not sure if it can actually do the crab Sherman trick from Co-1. Not really a trick, but the crab Sherman is the Sherman with the flail. Oh damn! Another incendiary grenade comes through, and Gonna force away these riflemen. But these riflemen are going for the house now. This is a bad idea because of these Stern Pioneers cutting them off. And the first rifleman squad is in trouble. They're gonna die. Another rifleman squad right now is gonna be basically flanked by these STG-44 wielding maniacs. And, well, these riflemen, if they focus fire the Sturmpiles, they may win this engagement. But the Sturmpiles do a lot of damage to the first rifleman squad, which is gonna make it worth it for them. Just losing one model to basically wipe out one rifleman squad and force away another one. Military truck gets pulled in. It's actually gonna get upgraded with the Pinto mounted. Oh, this is new. I didn't even notice that it could call in artillery barrages. Oh, interesting. Well, it may even be able to. Well, it may even be able to reinforce from this configuration. Because it looks like, you know, it looks like it's like a covered truck. Now, of course, it's gonna have the same same appearance as we're used to. It's actually less. Yeah, it doesn't even cost fuel anymore. Strange. Wait, what is this? Rate taxes. Oh, right. So for vehicles to cap. So that's nothing too strange. And the M21 mortar half-track. Huh. And then the M3 half-track assault group. Huh. That's an interesting setup. Anyway, Mechanized Company seems like a decent enough pick because of that passive. That is a very, very good one because it allows the USF to get some advanced medium tanks on the field later on. And of course, looks like the early game increased effectiveness of the military truck because now you have to pay munitions to upgrade the Browning. So probably it got a little bit of a buff. Also, the fact that you don't need to pay for this thing anymore is very, very useful. So I just kind of like, that. Well, let's see how that works, especially against the flak half-track. The flak half-track is very, very dangerous against this kind of setup. But we have a Stuart coming, and we have the captain with the bazooka, of course. So there's a few counters on the field for the flak half-track. We'll see. Actually, a lot of damage coming through on the military truck. Once again, they nerfed the frontal armor of light vehicles, so now they're much more vulnerable to enemy infantry. Need to be careful about how you use them. So STGs-44 is coming through, so Mirage FLA is trying to use some of that resource advantage that he has accumulated, which is of course good. Right now, the problem with the center house is starting to show itself. It's only got one window per side, so if the enemy units can get some concentrated action, they're gonna have a good time. Raid tactics being pulled in, probably for some extra speed. But yeah, now they're gonna be. Oh, actually, it's because he was capping over here. Oh well. I mean, the Germans are capturing the center while the Americans are capturing the flanks. So of course, this is a pretty decent trade for the Americans. It's just that they need to be afraid of this flak half-track now. It will be revealed soon enough. However, what will also be revealed is the Stuart. These, the Volksrangers do have the Panzerfaust because of the battle headquarters. But right now, yeah, the flak half-track is in trouble. We're gonna have the damaged engine off on the Stuart. The Stuart tries to use shell shock, but he misses 2 shots in a row because he was moving. The third one hits, but it's only a vision block damage instead of a stun. And the half-track will pop concealing smoke, but this is a Browning 50 cal, so it can do some damage onto the rear armor of this thing. Let's see who wins this engagement. Nobody does. It's a mutually assured destruction as both vehicles go down, thanks to the Panzerfaust from these Volksrangers. The Volksrangers will not get to feast upon the corpses of these destroyed vehicles, getting some extra munitions and fuel for, well, I think the military truck should give munitions, because it's an only manpower vehicle, but I have no idea. And some fuel, of course, from the flak. And there we are. Right now on the right side, there's another engagement. Oh, just a few poor rear echelon troops gonna get murdered at close range by Sturmpiles. 2 Sturmpile squads actually on the field for Mirage FLA. So it's nice that he went for a second Sturmpile squad in this kind of vehicle-focused game. He sees that the enemy has a lot of light vehicles, so he knows that he will need the Panzerschreck help from the Sturmpiles. Perhaps so that he can go with 1 Panzerschreck squad and 1 Minesweeper. Just to be safe, although he does not need any Minesweepers because, of course, he's not facing heavy cavalry or infantry. So riflemen cannot lay down mines, and he hasn't seen an M20 because, of course, it's captained here. No lieutenant being brought on the field, and already quite a lot of light vehicles coming through for Lima Oscar Mike, so he did not need an M20 anyway. And yeah, finally he is going to go for our Kenwerfer. I think this was long overdue. Definitely, as soon as he saw the military truck, maybe should have realized that his opponent was going to go heavy on those vehicles. Although he did not quite realize he was going for an M5 Stuart, which is quite understandable considering there's quite a lot of light vehicles that you can spend your fuel on for a mechanized company already. Of course, the mortar half-track being one of them, but also the M3 half-track assault group with the engineers. So perhaps he just didn't want to very, very quickly like overspend on Kenwerfers, while maybe his opponent was going to go for a mortar half-track. Now, the mortar half-track, I believe it's the same. Still got the white phosphorus barrage. Still going to be a very useful tool to deal with enemy support weapons. But overall, I'm guessing it's still going to be a low-range, sort of semi-useful at auto-firing unit. Because, I mean, the auto-fire of this thing isn't really all that good. It never was. And it doesn't look like it isn't right now either. Right now, also an MG42 coming out from Mirage FLA. His problem right now is that he's getting pushed essentially from all sides, and he does not have any map control. He's still been able to hold on just to dear life, which is this fuel point, but other than that, he's basically having problems with VPs and resources because he does not have enough map control overall. And here comes a very nice phosphorus barrage. Of course, this is basically the reason why you go for the mortar half-track. Because with this thing, once it starts to pop that white phosphorus, it does a lot of damage and can disrupt the enemy very greatly, which is really the main usage that you can get out of it. The right side of the map should be harassed right now by these Sternpows. The problem is the Stuart. As long as the Stuart lives, it's going to be hard for Mirage FLA to establish any kind of map control on the flanks, anywhere where he does not have his Kenwerfer. So perhaps a second Kenwerfer might be a good idea. I mean, I know he might be waiting for some Fallschirmjägers, but his problem right now aren't the riflemen, it's the Stuart. So perhaps going for a second Kenwerfer might be a good decision. I like that he went for an MG34 actually, because this is allowing him a little bit of extra suppression against the enemy infantry, which is always useful, and will be much more useful in the late game. And he will go for the Fallschirmjägers, getting the Fallschirmjägers in the central sort of little cottage, and he's going to be able to force away all those riflemen. The problem is, again, the Stuart comes in from the flank, and where's the Kenwerfer? It's a little bit out of position in the base. So this is really the main problem. And these riflemen, while they were forced to retreat, now they're back at base. They're going to be able to be healed and reinforced very quickly. Yeah, these poor Sturm Pioneers are in trouble. If the Stuart chases, he might be able to actually finish them off. He gets the kill on one 37mm gunshot. Second shot does get the kill. Very lucky, actually. I was not expecting that to wipe out that Sternpower squad, but it did. So Lima Oscar Mike getting a nice bit of an advantage, and right now he has called in the half-track assault group. So yet more fuel being used on a sort of well, really early game unit. And right now, he's going to be delayed in his major, which is going to allow Mirage FLA a little bit of extra time to, you know, use his short Panzer quarters for something very useful, like building a Panzer IV. Right now, I feel like he needs to go with the Panzer IV, otherwise this will not be good for him, because he needs something that can be useful right now. And unfortunately for the Oscar Mike, he's going to lose his half-track. There goes both the Kenwerfer and the Panzerfaust, taking out that half-track. Bit of a waste of 30 fuel, and I believe normally these guys are 260 from the armor company, the assault engineers, so 200 manpower and 30 fuel. Nothing you want to waste, especially once you're heading into the late game as the USF. You want to head into that late game as quickly as possible, utilize your early to mid game advantage to propel yourself into a stronger late game than the Axis, who normally, of course, are going to be relying on their just superior unit quality. And yeah, this mortar half-track, interesting choice to jump out the crew, just to avoid the auto-fire from coming in. but Mirage Filet was microing. He gets the auto fire, not the auto fire, but the attack move fire onto the mortar half-track and kills that unit. So yet more fuel going down the drain for the Americans. 60 fuel lost because of this Rekenwerfer in just a couple of minutes. So a very nice turnaround for Mirage Filet. The problem is still the main sort of meat and potatoes, actually just the meat of the American army, is right now the Stuart. Actually, very cool model. I wonder, did they remodel this? I did not remember it being so detailed. And I didn't remember the decals looking quite so good on this thing. But yeah, I like this thing. This thing is just so very useful both in the mid game and the late game. Because of the shell shock, because of the point blank engine shot, it's going to be very useful for Lima Oscar Mike if you can keep that thing alive. Especially at that Veteran C2 you get more rate of fire, and at Veteran C3 I believe you get more speed. Yeah, that is very, very good. Speed and, oh damn, nice wipe. Speed and sight range. So that's a very deadly combination, allowing the Stuart to become a very zippy, very sort of safe vehicle to use, because you can see farther, you can run away faster, and you can use it as a scout a lot better. So I just kind of like it. Also, once he gets another unit on the field, he might even want to swap out the crew for the Stuart into the other vehicle, just to give it a little bit of extra boost in veterancy right at the start. And as you can see right now, it's blazing away with the 30 cals, and these poor Folk Grenadiers are taking it in the face. Although at long range, I mean, the Stuart isn't going to really pick off all that many Folk Grenadiers if they can keep themselves in cover. However, the Riflemen are definitely going to do that. For the Stuart, they managed to get into close and fire off a Panzerfaust, but it's not going to be enough, because it's not like anybody can follow up on that. Right now, it looks like on the left side, the Assault Engineers were wiped, and the M2 Flamethrower came into the hands of the Sturmpows, which is actually very bad, because now they can upgrade both the Flamer and the combat package Panzerschreck. So that is not very good. One thing about Sturm Pioneers is that they actually have 2 weapon slots, but they can only upgrade one of their... they can only purchase one of their upgrades. So if you pick something up, you can upgrade the other. You can upgrade any one of the other 2. But if you upgrade, then you're not going to be able to upgrade the other one, if that makes any sense. So for example, if you pick up a Panzerschreck with a Sturmpower squad, you can then upgrade the support package anyway, and have both. At least I believe that's how it works. It definitely works that way with weapons. I'm not sure about the support package. It should, though. I mean, the Minesweeper is basically using the same slots as weapons. So yeah. Right now, Mirage Filet is turning the game around quite quickly in his favor. I mean, he has managed to basically capture the center and the left-hand side during these last few engagements, and he has skirmished for the right side, managing to get some nice bits of harassment. At this point, he's going to be forced away probably by rear echelon troops plus Stuart, and he's using those raid tactics very, very well. The Oscar Mike using the Stuart to cap without having to jump the crew out is, of course, a very, very useful thing. In fact, it even looks like the Stuart can fire while in this configuration, so that is definitely not bad. Major is on the field now, so Lima Oscar Mike will have access to those 76mm Shermans. Both the normal ones and the 76ers are very, very useful against enemy infantry if the 76 is anything like the M4C and the EZ8. I'm guessing it will at least have a 50 caliber machine gun upgrade. So, I mean, if you've got a little bit of extra munitions, you can turn into a very, very nice infantry killer like that. And yeah, I'm thinking that it would be better for Lima Oscar Mike to go with the late game Sherman at this point, considering how much early game vehicles he purchased earlier on, in the form of course, the Mortar half-track and the M3 half-track. So both of those kind of slowed down his late game. So at this point, he can't really diddle-waddle around with normal Shermans, especially considering, I mean, his opponent is going to be going for a Panther. He's going for a Panther. Really now, I would have thought that a Panzer IV would have been a better option for Lima Oscar Mike. But yeah, Mirage Filet seems to be doing just fine because it's only 3 rifleman squads, as I said. So if you can keep the Stuart neutered, as he has been doing for the past couple of minutes, due to the Rekenwerfers and the just kind of sheer threat of so many Panzerfausts, then he can just establish map control, which is what he has been doing, and that's good for him. I mean, he can do better, though. I mean, I feel like the Panzer IV would have still been the better idea. But, hey, we'll see. I'm guessing that Lima Oscar Mike is going for the M4 76mm. So that's why he might want to save up for the Panther, because he knows his opponent is going to try out that new armor piece. And so, of course, the Panther would be better against that. I mean, we'll see how these two perform against each other. If the M4C Sherman is like any indication, and I mean, the cost is pretty similar. Well, actually, no, he's going for an M4A3. Huh. And of course, Mirage Filet is purchasing that Panther. I feel like this is a very, very bad position for Lima Oscar Mike. I mean, he's getting his base pummeled by the support gun, but that's nothing really too major. The big problem is the Panther coming through, because he needs some kind of way to deal with the Panther, and the strategy that he's going for, I'm guessing, is there's a lot of enemy infantry, so get a Sherman to deal with that, a normal Sherman, because of course HE rounds are very strong, and then I'll wait for a Jackson. But that might just not work, because okay, here comes the Sherman. I wonder what those dozer blades will look like. Actually 70 munitions. That's pretty big. Looks like it gives a heavy crush and create cover as well. So it's basically like the Sherman dozer, like the 105. Interesting. Still, I'm not sure I would pay 70 fuel for the, or sorry, 70 manpower for that. Like, manpower, munitions. I just managed to basically fuck up every time I could. Anyway, yeah, right now he's gonna see that he made the wrong decision, because there's a Panther. Now he knows, and he's like, oh shit. He's gonna have to retreat his rifleman, retreat his everything. And the Panther, I mean, at this point can just kind of walk into the base. The Oscar Mike does have enough manpower for an anti-tank gun, but the anti-tank gun alone isn't going to be able to deal with the Panther at all. So this is a very bad position to be in if you're Lima Oscar Mike. If you're Lima Oscar Mike at this point, I don't think there's really much that you can do. I mean, he had a nice early to mid-game with the new mechanized company. Of course, using very nicely that military truck. And there goes the ambulance. That was a dick move from the Panther, going for the ambulance first. Yeah, of course, very, very good early game with the military truck being used well. Raid tactics being used to great effect overall. He's basically just coming in and doing what it says on the tin can. Raiding around, capturing points, harassing, preventing the enemy from establishing himself too stably onto any flank. He can just kind of come in with his light vehicles, cap. That's very good. However, the problem really starts to appear with the late game, it seems. That's where the reserve armor is supposed to come in with the 76mm Sherman. But he did not go for the 76mm Sherman, and because he used so much fuel on the mortar half-track and the M3 half-track assault group, which to me still aren't all that worth it. I mean, the M3 half-track assault group, maybe, but it's, I believe, a 6 CP ability. I actually didn't see right at the start how many CPs it meant, but it used to be a 6 CP ability, so I mean, that's very, very late. That's very, very late for a half-track assault group. In comparison, the Soviet one is 5 CPs, but you get a squad of assault guards, which is much better than the those assault engineers. I mean, you don't get the free, of course, free flamethrower on them. Well, you don't. It's not a free flamethrower. You have to upgrade it, but still, the assault guards are very, very strong. And the M5 half-track that you get the assault guards on can be upgraded into the quad. Whereas, of course, the M3 half-track assault group does not have the option to upgrade into a quad. So, I mean... Oh, actually, this could be bad for the Panther, but I just don't see it happening. Because the American tanks, for some reason, can't really flank around early enough, and the Panther's, yeah, it's facing its frontal armor well enough, so at this point it's not good. And also, here comes an airborne assault to also help out, but looks like none of the strafing runs nor the bombing runs really hitting. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. The Stukas from the airborne assault can do the anti-tank strafing run? I actually had no idea. I just thought that they dropped bombs. Looks like they got... Yeah, that maybe just got changed. Anyway, nice game actually. Showcased some of the new features. Basically, what I feel like is that the half-track assault group needs to come in with an M5, and the M5 needs to be available to upgrade to a quad. The cost maybe could get a slight increase because of that, because this thing just does not have any utility in the late game. It's a lot of resources, a lot of pop cap. The assault engineers are supposed to be a tier 0 infantry unit for the armor company, so getting them in the late game like that isn't really all that useful. I mean, they can drop down demo charges, but that's mostly useful in the first minutes of the game. And of course, demo charges have been changed in the last patch, so, well, not really in the last patch, but in the December balance preview. So it's not like the demo charges in and of themselves are worth all the resources that you spend on M3 half-track. Similarly, I think that the mortar half-track is just garbage. Just to be completely honest, the only reason you'd want to go for that is if your opponent was playing very, very campy with his MGs and Raken Riffers or NT guns or whatever. Because you could get the white phosphorus, and then it's very, very useful because you can just kind of tell him to go away with the white phosphorus. Then he has to go back to base by retreating. Otherwise, any other mortar shell that lands on him is going to wipe him out. Because, of course, the unit HP is going to be down to, like, basically 0. The military truck, I really like what they did with it. It's just a lot more useful. I don't know about that artillery column. I actually have no idea, and I don't know why the model is different. Again, maybe it represents the fact that it can reinforce on the field, but I don't really buy it. Actually, what it may be representing is the fact that if you don't upgrade the 50 cal, units on the back of it can't shoot. And that's probably what it is, so that you can't do the glorious military truck with just American riflemen sticking out of it and smashing enemy units, which is kind of sad. It's what I like to do with Mechanized Company. But after you upgrade the 50 cal, the tent on top disappears. So I'm guessing that after that, units can shoot off of it. I didn't read the commander update patch notes yet, so actually I have no idea. What would be kind of interesting is if they could, but they might just have the universal carrier solution, you know, that they just cannot shoot, ever. Other than that, I mean, raid tactics is, again, good. 45 seconds is very, very strong for such an ability. Of course, it's more expensive than the breakthrough tactics on Breakthrough Doctrine for OKW, but it makes sense. I mean, it allows light vehicles to cap as well, and it lasts longer, I believe, than Breakthrough Tactics. Then, well. I mean, the reserve armor, I didn't really get to look at it, so I have no idea. Yeah, overall, that's just kind of my opinion on the mechanized armor rework. It's kind of good. I like it. I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you have enjoyed. I hope you'll, well, comment on it. Just tell me what you think about mechanized, etc. And I'll see you soon. Cloaking Fallschirmjägers out.